All right, now let's take a look at the third kind of loop we have in JavaScript. That is a do-while loop. Do-while loops are very similar to while loops, but they're slightly different. It's easier to show you in code. So I'm going to rewrite this logic using a do-while loop. Just like the while loops, we have to declare our loop variable externally. So we declare I and initialize it to 0. Okay, now if we save the changes, we're going to get an error. Identifier I has already been declared. Because I have declared I here, so I cannot redeclare it here. This is different from the I that we have in the for loop. Again, this is all about scoping, and I'm going to talk about that later in the course. So to make this work, I'm going to temporarily comment out these few lines and rewrite this logic using a do-while loop. So we add the do statement here, then a code block. In this block, we should have our statements. So I'm going to borrow them from our while loop, copy these, paste them here. And then finally, at the end of this block, we add the while statement along with our condition. That is I less than or equal to 5, followed by a semicolon. Now you might be wondering, what is the difference between a while loop and a do-while loop? Do-while loops are always executed at least once, even if this condition evaluates to false. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to temporarily comment out these few lines and bring back our while loop. Also, we don't need this for block for now, so let's comment it out. Now, if we save the changes, we get 135 on the console. However, if I change I to 9, we're not going to see anything. Because the first time we try to execute this while loop, this condition evaluates to false. So these statements are never executed. So save the changes. Look, there's nothing in the console. So in while loops, this condition is evaluated ahead of time at the beginning of every iteration. In contrast, in do-while loops, this condition is evaluated at the end. And that means these statements are always executed at least once, even if the condition is false. So let's try this. I'm going to comment out this while loop and change I to 9, just like before. Save the changes. We get 9 on the console. Why? Because in our do-while loop here, on line 15, we check to see if this is an odd number. It is, so we display it on the console. Next, we increment I by 1, so I is 10. Then the condition is evaluated. Of course, it's false, so our loop will terminate. Now, realistically, you're not going to use this do-while a lot in programming. There are situations you may want to use this, but in practical terms, most of the time you'll be using a for or a while loop. Just be aware of the difference between a while loop and a do-while loop.